guys. Welcome to the W-K Burnouts studio. I am Christina.
And I'm Dustin.
And Alan behind the scenes. Today, we're going to talk about the future, Dustin.
It's electrifying.
Yes. And so we've kind of, GM, General Motors is all in on the EV.
That stands for electric vehicles for those that are just joining us here. EV, electric vehicles. Yeah. GM made the announcement that they're all in, and we thought, hey, since we work at a General Motors dealership, we ought to research this and see what we've got coming up our way in the next, let's just say the next 10 years.
Yeah. Right.
And all the other circumstantial things that need to kind of line up for that to all work out really well. I mean, they're a global manufacturer. They kind of know what they're doing with stuff. Maybe better than I do. I don't know. But
just maybe. just maybe.
So, my guess is that the way that they're going to make all this stuff work is all kind of already figured out in their boardrooms. So I think we should probably start out with just talking about what led us to dive into this. For me, it was the announcement. Okay, joint things here. There's a few things at once, but the big kicker was they announced the Equinox EV.
Yes.
So Equinox is what we call the bread and butter. That is a vehicle for everybody. It's for young people. It's for older people. It's for commuters. It's for businesses, right? Lots of company cars are Equinoxes now. So when they announced the Equinox EV, I was like, oh, geez, what's it gonna be like? What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Price point, all that.
Price point was the first thing that comes to mind, because what makes a company car eligible to be a company car? It's not like $60,000, right? Yeah. It's a $30,000 vehicle or so.
Yeah.
Okay. So they said it's going to start at $30,000 for an all electric Equinox. I was like, okay, so this is a different tune than, we've been on our way to receiving our first Hummer EV.
What, 113,000? I think.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive. So that you got to put your thoughts on electric vehicles in two separate camps. You think about the real expensive. It's a toy. It's something that everybody wants to try out.
Sure.
A lot of it's because of the power and the capability.
And it's new. It's different.
And it's new and it's hot. And there's a reserve button for it on the website. Oh, well, I need one of those. I got to do that. If you can reserve it, then that's for me, right?
Yes.
So this whole Equinox thing, which was preceded a little bit by the Blazer announcement. The Blazer EV was really exciting, and they're talking like a $40,000, $45,000 price point on that. So I said, how are they doing this, basically? Because EVs they're a little more expensive to produce because the batteries are expensive to make. General Motors, they partnered with LG. Yep. They've made these batteries that lithium ion batteries, of course, not lead acid stuff. This is 2022 now, so everything's lithium ion. But so they partnered with LG to make the battery, the chemical, properties of the battery, and then they made this platform that is pretty smart. And I think, like, if I were to be a global manufacturer, make vehicles, I would want to have like one chassis, and it would be the chassis that would be like the frame. Basically, the underpinnings with the suspension all bolts to and the engine bolt to and stuff, right? I would want to have one chassis and then be able to put different vehicles on top of that chassis without having to go design, R&D, and make a whole new chassis for every single different vehicle with a slightly different wheelbase that I make, from a sedan to a truck to a SUV, right? I'd want to have one. Oh, that's what they did. This platform with the Ultium batteries, it's basically like the chassis of the vehicle is the case for the batteries, and they can stack the batteries in there in either horizontal or vertical configuration. You'd want it vertical for like the Hummer EV, right? Because it's got that ground clearance and it has a big tall cabin. For something like the Cadillac LYRIQ, which is Cadillac's all electric, it's kind of a low roof sport utility. Kind of a car mix type of sport utility thing.
Fancy. Yes.
Super fancy.
Yes.
But you need more headroom in that. So you need them to be lower. So instead of coming up with a whole new case, a whole new design, and designing new batteries that are a different shape, you just like sit them down like this instead of up like this. Great. This is super good thinking. The motors are really brilliant. They're really, really neat, and they can configure them differently. You can have, one up front for a front wheel drive basic vehicle like an Equinox. You can have, 2 motors for all wheel drive, versions. You can have 3 motors for the higher performance or the off-road capable stuff, or just to have more power, And I think that's really, really smart. And that's how I think they're going to be able to provide us with maybe better than a lot of the other manufacturers have serviceability for these things, right? So a lot of people worry about, what their electric vehicle, how much the battery is going to cost to replace. Right. Oh, geez. Right. Are you still going to make these batteries by the time mine go bad? Oh.
And that was one of my, because I'm not techie. I'm just like, that whole, what? That's going to be expensive. However, listening to you, I understand.
Yeah, I think they came up with a really good idea. So this stuff moves super fast. They've developed this, and by the time it gets to market, they've already developed its replacement.
The next, it's way ahead.
But they thought about this enough, right? Because as technology and as the chemical technology for batteries changes, they thought, okay, so we released Ultium. It's on the Hummer EV. How are we going to make it so that we don't have to keep making that old battery design, even though we've moved on to more efficient ones that are cheaper to produce and that work better, yada, yada, yada. Well, let's just make it so that the new ones will just slip in there. Really?
So you don't have to replace the whole
entire thing.
Right.
Right. Okay. Nobody's done that particular part before. General Motors with their platform, they monitor the electronics and the batteries on a more granular level. So like each individual, pack or each individual module, so that if any of them start to go bad, they can replace that individual module with whatever the newest, most up-to-date, module is. It'll just stick in there and work with all the other ones. Hypothetically.
Got it.
That's like I've done this in the backyard or anything. It works great. I promise. No.
Yeah, me and Bubba been in the back just, pulling them apart.
Just swapping out slot cards and stuff. No. So, but it seems like, okay, this is what we're talking. This is the thing that had kind of me worried about, the EV future is how are they going to do this and make it so it's serviceable and that you can actually have a lifetime of a vehicle based on how you treat it, not based on how long the batteries are going to last.
Right.
So even like some of us keep our vehicles more than 10 years. And we're looking at Alan right now.
Sorry, there was a little bit of silence as we were.
Some of us do.
But yes, quite a few people do. Yeah.
And people are keeping vehicles longer now too in some areas. So being able to service them, I don't know, more efficiently, it was just a paramount concern, especially for people in the Midwest. The Midwest United States to us is the most important part of the whole entire world.
Right.
Because that's where we are.
That's where we are.
Probably most of you are too. So.
Well, and our driving habits are a little different than could be. I mean, a little different than the East Coast or the West Coast, or in wherever. But so that was my thing that I worry about is the change and like, well, how long would my car last? Because when you think about batteries, if you charge your cell phone wrong, and then you have to end up charging it all the time instead of one time, but with what you were explaining is if one thing goes bad, you don't have to replace the whole battery Ultium system, the whole thing, chassis,
the whole car. You don't have to replace the whole thing. Basically, it's service components, kind of like an engine. If your water pump goes bad, what do? You get a new water pump in. Your oil pump's bad. Well, you might have other problems too, but you can put new parts on the propulsion system in all sorts of different places, right? Right. There's so many fewer moving parts on these EVs too. This could really be really good for longevity and everything in the future. And another thing, GM kind of being, and there's some smack talking about Mary Barra saying that, hey, we're going to be the leaders. General Motors is going to be the leaders in EV sales by the middle of this decade. And the middle of the decade's coming up pretty quick. Yeah. And
she seems pretty
confident
about it.
Yeah. And adamant that that's what they want to happen, to be the leader in sales in North America, at least for EVs.
Yeah.
And I think that they have the right underpinnings to do that, and that they're not behind by any stretch. And they're making a commitment. They're like, we want to do this right. We don't want to just have a little boutique corner of the lot that sells your one model of Bolt or Bolt EUV, you know, and this is just for you electric people over here, and everything else is all gas all the time.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And they didn't pick the middle of the road thing where it's like, we're going to put every kind of engine imaginable in every kind of car. They wanted to focus on electric completely, like to the tune of tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars of investment. Yeah. And I would say a lot of lobbying for some infrastructure packages, you know, and you know how all these big companies, they lobby at, you know, the government and everything. And, and infrastructure is a thing that a lot of people think of too. They think about, you know, okay, DC fast charge. That's amazing. You can get 100 plus miles in like 10, 15 minutes on a DC fast charge. That's awesome. Where's our DC?
Where are you going to find one of those at? In the Midwest?
In the Midwest. And I mean, you can with your My Chevrolet app, you can go and you can plan out your whole entire route. Right. And it'll say, stop here for this amount of time. And you might be at like half charge and it'd be like, no, stop at this one. Trust me, because that will get you all the way to the next one. People don't really want to mess with all that.
That's my thing.
I mean, they do, but they can, but they don't want to. It's new. It's different. There's 150,000 plus gas stations in the United States. Right. 150,000.
Yep. And how many?
Not even 6,000.
I was going to say like 5,000 charging stations.
Yeah. There's not even 6,000 charging stations in the US. So infrastructure needs to catch up with that. And I'm sure General Motors is doing their part, you know, lobbying for packages from different administrations to make that happen. Yeah. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of this stuff, we're like, the technology's moved far enough along that you're going to be able to charge pretty effectively and efficiently at home. So there's going to be different cases for different people with different, you know, in different areas with different kind of wiring and different age of houses, et cetera, et cetera.
Budget and how much you want, how often you're going to charge and so forth, all that.
Right. So, but you can really, if you plan it out based on, you know, charging at home, even right now, the way stuff is, you know, you can pretty well live your whole life, you know, your EV life right now, even in the Midwest with the ranges that we have on things now. You know, it's, I think it's totally possible. And I think that the advantages are going to, the biggest advantage, the first thing I think of when I think of the advantage to an electric, the torque, the power. The Hummer does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. That's
crazy.
That's almost what the Corvette does it in. And it weighs like 9,800 pounds, super duper heavy, right? All the EVs are heavy. Batteries are heavy, right? So that's pretty amazing. And that's a pretty big draw for a lot of people. 11,500 pound-feet of torque. It's like, is that even a real number? Can you even have that amount of torque? But it's electric motors. It's there.
Totally a guy thing, because you all have to get, for whatever reason, you'll spend all this money to get to the stop sign so much quicker. Like, what the heck?
Well, yeah, it's cool. I want to go real fast.
What the heck does that matter? But yes, it's a guy thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, just that feeling. You get you, but hey, come check this out. He's like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, set you back in the seat, doesn't it? Yep, sure does. You know, I love that stuff. So that's a big advantage. But I mean, also talking about the just the way they build them with fewer moving wear item parts, fewer things to wear out and break, and a more modular construction. It was described in one thing I was watching, which it makes perfect sense, like a Lego block. The whole Ultium platform, the batteries, the packs, they're like Lego building blocks that you put together to build whatever type of vehicle that you want, but you use the same blocks for all the different models.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So you got the same motor. It's stuck in a different place on this one, but it's still just the same little Lego blocks stuck in.
Go. Okay. See?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I think that's really smart, and I think it'll make for some pretty neat stuff. And this isn't like 10 years down the road. We already have Hummer EVs out in the wild. You may have seen one driving because they're out there. We're about to get ours. And you'll you'll see next will be Silverado EV.
Yep. Which I did whenever I was doing a little research. I'm not sure how many Hummer reservations there were total, but I did see that the Chevy Silverado EV, there were 140,000 reservations already.
I don't think GM anticipated that.
No.
I don't think anybody on earth anticipated a full-size Silverado pickup. The one that you reserved was like is an RST. It's like $100,000, 140,000,
140,000. Yeah,
that's crazy. It really is. But it kind of speaks to the excitement, and I think for a lot of pickup truck people, like in general, the whole more power thing speaks to us so loudly and clearly. That it's like, well, I really want that. The range anxiety goes out the window. Everything goes out the window because you're like, I want that power on tap. I want the power to pull the barn down. And you'll have it there. Like everybody wants the most powerful pickup on the road, don't they? I mean, I know I do.
they do. But I don't, whenever I'm picturing this, because every Silverado EV ad or anything that I've seen is the blue, the blue silver.
It's on 24s.
So I'm like thinking like, you take that thing out mudding, you got to lock it in 4-wheel drive. That's just not, I don't know. I just don't like, it's like,
all you'll hear is the mud slinging. It's so heavy though. Imagine going mudding in a 9,000 pound like pickup.
No,
that's like taking your Duramax dually out mudding. You're gonna sink, man. Sink. But I mean it's
not gonna be the loud like going through. Yeah, it's just gonna be like
splash, 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 splash. Yeah.
That's what I see.
I get it. I mean, I think
I don't see Farmer John wanting to take that out, but that's you never know.
If Farmer John sees that will pull as much weight as my 1-ton Duramax with 1,000 pound-feet of torque that has 11,000 pound-feet, he'll be like, I don't care if it whispers or it whistles. I'm going to take it. I'm going to pull that way too big trailer with way too many hay bales on it on down the 2-lane road,
highway.
Guys. I'm coming. You can't stop me. I'm going to have my stock trailer loaded up big time. Shove all the cows you can in there because I can pull like 45,000 pounds, shove them in. I really think so. Like, cause they're going to have work truck Silverado.
Sure.
And I mean, you go to pull a skid steer with something, it needs to be heavy. It needs to have a ton of torque, and the EV, lighter duty stuff really kind of will align with that. So the possibilities they're all there, and they're all coming up really, really, really quick.
Yes.
I think probably, the truck's cool. The Hummer EV is really cool. It's like just next level.
I can't wait till we get ours for the dealership.
Yeah.
And I know, of course, everybody's going to want to, drive it or whatever, but I want to see what that Crabwalk is. Like, I know. I am like pretty excited about that.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah. But it's coming. I mean, it's,
I think probably the one that I'm most excited about the performance aspects. And I think that the Blazer SS,
I'm so excited.
It's going to be really, really cool. I think the power that you get from the electric motors, the style of the Blazer, and the Blazer EV, since it's on the Ultium platform, is just lower, longer wheelbase. It just looks cool. It looks sporty. Coming from a ex-Trailblazer SS guy, I kind of like those SUVs that have some oomph to them.
Yeah, I love the Blazer. That's what I wanted whenever I ended up getting my CT6. However, whenever I saw that the electric Blazer was coming out, I was like, oh, I have to. Oh yeah. That I can't get a Blazer right now. I'm waiting. I have to wait until, I'm that customer now. Like I'm just waiting. I'm just going to wait, but oh yeah, I'm so excited. They're so like sleek and sporty, like you were talking about, but the Equinox is too.
It is. Yeah. And that's another really nice thing about the platform is they're able to really mix in lots of style because they're not basing everything off of where they're going to fit the motors, and they're not taking cars that already exist and making it so they can make them electric.
Right.
They're taking the electric components and making cars around that. And I think that's going to be better product for everybody than something that's made to have a gas engine, hybrid engine, or electric engine. Like when they make them, and I know like Toyota's doing that. They want to be the Macy's of powertrains, right? And I guess that means like everything. They want to have hydrogen, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, all electric, gasoline. That's cool and all. But does that mean that the vehicle is going to be the best at any of those in particular? I don't know. You know,
because what do they say? I mean, not that this is necessarily the right answer, but jack of many trades, master of none, or whatever. You know, like you have a vehicle that do you really master the one, the one thing that it's capable of doing?
I think if you're going to pick one to master and just skip over all the others, it would be just straight up EV. Straight up range, cost of production of the batteries. GM took all this stuff and made it. I mean, it's a joint venture with LG for the battery technology, like I said, but they've made all this stuff so in-house, like, so they have control over it, that even with the manufacturing of the batteries, the battery chemistry having so much less cobalt in it than a lot of other batteries, they've like reached that point in how much it costs to produce the batteries for an electric vehicle so that it's actually competitive with an internal combustion engine cost.
Got it. Okay.
That's a pretty big deal. And it uses less cobalt, more nickel. Nickel can be sourced from North America. So there's I think a lot of like good things that they thought of there. GM has pretty much all of its eggs in the North American basket right now, in China. I mean, they pulled out of a lot of European places. They pulled out of India, and just in the last several years. But that's so that they could focus, I think, on
North America,
the specific region. Yeah,
I did see that the partnership between LG and GM, they're adding three not plants, but manufactured areas: Ohio, Tennessee, and Michigan. Between 22 and 24.
Which is where we're at right now. So it's like that stuff's all happening right now.
Yep. But I'm excited. I was nervous, and I am still kind of nervous because you have the people that are, change is always hard, but I mean, I'm kind of excited about the new getting in one and actually seeing the difference and seeing that it's not as nerve-wracking as what you think it is to take a trip to Kansas City. You're not, you're just going to have to make sure, plan your route, just like you do when you're going on vacation. You can go 200 miles, so you need to, get to a gas station. It's kind of the same thing. You're just going to have to go a certain route versus
and honestly, as the days go by, the ranges get higher, right? 400 was the holy grail, and now we've got multiple things coming that will be 400 plus.
Right.
And that's from all manufacturers. Everybody's working on, this is the good thing about this gigantic world economy that we have, with all these different manufacturers working a little bit differently, trying to come up with the secret sauce.
Right.
Constantly developing things. I think it's moving it to where by the time we get to where GM has planned to be all electric, everybody's going to be caught up. The infrastructure is going to be there. The range is going to be there. And I think it's pretty exciting. And I want to hear what everybody, who watches, thinks about the electric future and stuff like that.
Definitely. So, I mean,
let us know.
It's the buzz that's going around. I mean, I hear them talk about it in the service lounge, and it's just, I'm interested. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much all I've got for now. But I've kind of got a thing for talking about this now. Once I watch a few videos, start reading a few articles, then it turns into like hours and hours and hours of research. And it's like, this is what it's like to be a journalist, kind of.
Yeah, there you go.
And so,
well, and before we run out of time, Jaron is going to the drive. Gosh darn it!
What's it called? The drive to the.
In Texas. Anyways, he's going to get to drive out, on the track, some of these new model vehicles.
We'll have to hear from him what he thinks of those things.
It's first part of October. So
awesome. That's exciting. Well, we'll look forward to that one, everybody.
Cool. All right. Well, We hope you found this entertaining. I know I laughed quite a bit. And of course, informative.
Yeah, always.
But we appreciate you. And again, like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment below, and we will cruise on by and pick you up next week.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a W-K Burnouts production.